So, okay, dear lovelies. So, I welcome you all to Diva Space Fashion Academy. So, in today's section, we are going to be learning how to draft, how to cut, how to sew a blazer jacket. So, in this aspect, we are going to be learning about a shawl collar blazer jacket. Unisex aspect is when the blazer is suitable for both male and female. Do you understand? So when we say the unisex blazer jacket, it means that a male or a female can wear it depending on the size. Okay, dear lovelies. So in today's vision, we are going to be working on a short collar blazer jacket, which is one of the most simplest blazer jackets we have. We have so many other types of, you know, blazer jacket, but the short collar is strictly one of the simplest aspects of it. So we have different stages when it comes to drafting a blazer jacket. Now, in the first stage is when you're going to draft a basic sloper. So this basic sloper is serving as a basic bodice. Okay. First of all, we are going to draft a basic sloper. Okay, so we have basic sloper for the front and the back, which you need to draft before you can graduate it to any jacket, either short collar, notch collar, any jacket of your choice. Okay, so that is just how to do it. The drafting aspect of blazers is always very simple. I think where the work is always the sewing and the neat finishing. But when it comes to the drafting aspect of it, is always very what? Simple. So this I hope that I know that you guys have had, little bits of experience or on precautions you have to take if you are drafting a blazer jacket. And the number one thing is for you to come down from this point from 5 to 6 inches. Okay, so that is the first step for you to drop down from here from 5 to 6 inches. So like I said, you can use a basic sloper and you can manipulate it to any blazer of your choice. So in this very class, I'll be drafting this basic sloper and I might even want to transfer it to another pattern so that you know, if I want to make another jacket, I can just use that sloper and transform it to that jacket that I want to make. Okay. So another precaution, because this is blazer, is for you to come in here from 6 also to 5 inches. This actually depends on the type of design. In most cases, if your design requires like you to add more, you can always add more. But in this stage, you guys should be getting familiar with, you know, the ones other people have made before you can try to, do yours. That is before you can try to add your own knowledge. First of all, you need to understand how it works, right? So I have my line. So this line is going to serve as my center front line. Okay. So I have my center front line. And the next thing to do is for me to go ahead and mark all my vertical body measurements. Okay. So from the starting line, you want to measure your shoulder to your chest line, your shoulder to bust point, shoulder to under bust. Because this is strictly for females, so I need my under bust. Shoulder to your half length. So I want this blazer to stop exactly at my hip. Okay, or let me just say maybe 1 inch below my hip. Okay, so this totally depends on the length. You can even make it to stop maybe, but I love when my blazer is, a bit longer, especially when it gets to the hip. It's always very okay. It makes it, fit you more. perfectly. That is for me. What works for me might not actually work for you or your client. So you just need to make sure that that place where you want your blazer to stop, you are going to measure it. Okay, so I said mine is going to be stopping 1 inch below my hip line. So I'll go ahead and outline all these lines, and just from here or outline all the lines. So we're just drafting a normal basic sloper, which I told you guys I'm going to be, after this, we are going to be using our tracing wheel to trace it on another pattern. Come and start drafting it all over again because it's obviously the same thing, okay? So I'll go ahead and label out these lines, and I have my shoulder line. So this is my shoulder line, okay? So this is the bust chest line, my bust line, my under bust, now my waistline, and then the full length. Okay, so you're just going to label it according to the way you remember the numbers. So to draft your basic sloper, you guys know you have to come and divide your shoulder at the shoulder line half of it. Okay, so my shoulder is 16 divided into 2, that is 8 inches. So I have it like so. So you just want to connect that line. Okay, so because this is blazer, the width of the neck 3 inches or 3.5 is okay. But for here, I can decide to do maybe 3.2 for ease. But here, let me just use 3 inches. Okay, so 3 inches again for the depth. Because this is short collar, so 3 by 3 is okay. For an average person, or if this person is very, if your client is big, you can do 3.5 for the depth, and then maybe 3 inches for the width. Okay, so I have it. So I'll go ahead and mark my shoulder slants, and I'm going to be using 1 inch because this is blazer, so I just want to use that 1 inch. Okay, so the next thing to do is to mark your bust span. That's your nipple to nipple divided into 2. You are to do that on the bust line. So this is the bust line, okay? And also you go to the full length. You're going to divide your nipple to nipple into 2. So you just want to connect the straight line. So you want to come and find the middle of your shoulder, okay? You're just going to fold the tape, locating the midpoint. So now you are to connect that midpoint to the bust point, okay? So just like so. So we have it. So because this is a normal blazer, you can decide to do under bust contouring. You can also decide to just use the normal waist. But one of the reasons why I love to contour the under bust sometimes is because it gives you this fitting. Because this is for female. If I'm making a unisex blazer jacket, I'm not going to be using a bust that, and I'm not going to be doing an under bust contouring. I'm just going to focus on taking out 0.5 inch seam allow I mean 0.5 dots, 0.5 here, 0.5 for a male and a female. That is if you are working for a unisex blazer jacket. There is no need for for you to add your under bust contouring. But I normally love doing this because the under bust contouring normally gives it, there is this shape it gives it and I like it. Okay, so here I want to do, at this point, you can decide to take your contouring, at the side, but I love to do 0.5 here and 1 inch here, which, because that is the normal waist that I'm supposed to take. Okay, so I'm taking it only at the under bust and the half length. I'm not going to be doing this at the full length, okay, because I do not need this that to be at the full length. So I want it to get, I want to stop that, step down here by 0.5, okay, by 1 inch. Let's do 1 inch. Okay, 1 inch is perfect. To avoid any gaping, coming down from that this point by 1 inch is always the best. Okay, so you want to connect like so. Okay, so we are going to step down. You guys know our dart is meant to stop 6 inches below the half length. So you are meant to step down by that, by 6 inches, and you what? Connect this dart length. So like I told you, you are free to use just your normal waist dart. But I know what fits me, and that is exactly why I'm using this technique, because what matters is the fitting, is not majorly how you achieve it. When they look at you, people are not going to ask you, how did you draft this? All they want to see is how you look wearing the clothes, right? So I want to add a shoulder tightening to this.